This has been LMF, and this will be a tutorial on troubleshooting with your blowback housing units. And in this video, I have two different blowback housing units. One which you may recognize if you use Tokyo Marines or WE M93R. This is a standard blowback housing unit for those models, where this one over here is a KWA M93R Beretta, which you may see the components of said airsoft firearm in the background. Anyways, moving on. Let's just take a quick gander at these two blowback housing units before we move on. Now, what we can tell already is that one of these has two tiny springs, where the other has one large spring. Another thing that we can tell, one has a long, narrow metal loading nozzle, as opposed to the other to have a short, wider plastic loading nozzle. Now, let's turn these to the belly side, if you will. Okay, what we see here is that on this side, they're not very different from each other. You have your rocket valves. Another thing that we can see here, this is wider. And this one is more, it's squared, while this one is rectangular. But they do function very much the same. This one has this whole section move forward and back. This one has this section moving forward and back. Now, and troubleshooting with either one of these, the signs are very similar. I'm sure most airsofters, especially gas blowback pistol users, are familiar with the whole, you got your magazine loaded, okay? You got your BBs in there, you got your gas in there. You put the mag in the gun, you cock it back. You're ready to go. You go out there, you pull the trigger, and all of a sudden you hear this obnoxious noise. That's all your gas. It's gone out of that magazine. And that usually has something to do with the rocket valve, or something to do with this and this. This one's a little more stiff than the other. being poorly maintained. Or it could also be that they're too lubricated. I'm sure I mentioned before that there is such a thing as too lubricated. And when there's too much lubrication, things start to stick. And it goes from being lubricated to just a pain in the ass. So, when you hear that dreadful gasp, it just means you need to redo your cleaning procedure on these. And what you do for that, for this one example, take out your lowering nozzle, you dry it off, you take out your piston screw and piston head, you take this off, you dry it off, you have to dry everything out, wipe everything down. Get in there, wipe all that down. And don't even count on this being done in like a moment's time. This can go on to be a bit of a project. With either or blowback housing units. It's not that these are poorly made. They're made very well. Both of them made very well. It's just that they are the most finicky pieces in like Airsoft existence that I've ever ran into. This one, believe it or not, is a little bit easier to wipe down and clean. All you do is pull this back, wipe it off, put a little bit of lubricant around here. Both of them do not need much lubricant at all for them to work for you. None of them. You just pull this back, a little squirt, and a little squirt in the rocket valve, or rocket nozzle, sorry, whichever. Same thing here. Spray a little bit in there, pull this back, make sure that's a little lubricated too. Then, once they're lubricated, test fire them. And test firing them will get the lubricant everywhere that it needs to be. It's not much work to maintain these blowback housing units. It becomes a problem when you get too paranoid and you clean them all the time. It becomes a problem when you don't clean them at all. So, it's something you gotta monitor closely, but you don't have to do all the time. If you understand what I'm saying, hopefully I have my point across on that. But hope you guys have learned something from what I'm saying here. Even though these are different brands or different gun style blowback housings, they can be maintained the same. They will get the same problems. Alright. Thank you for watching. And again, I hope this has helped.